starting next school year amid a campaign to cut ties with institutions that Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth called factories of anti-American resentment. Hegseth announced the policy in a video posted to social media Friday, 3 weeks after he said the military was cutting ties with Harvard University. Hegseth said the universities have been breeding grounds of toxic indoctrination that undermine military values. I'm Julie Walker.
More of these stories at townhall.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell, definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. Do you feel stupid for buying a timeshare? Don't. It's not your fault. You were most likely told you could rent it, and it was a great financial investment. And the deal was available today only. If this happened to you, contact your resort or Wesley Financial Group for help today.
Call Wesley now for your free exit information kit. 800-242-3131. 800-242-3131.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Something was lost in translation.
Callers to Washington State's driver's license agency who select automated service in Spanish have instead been hearing an AI voice speaking English with a strong Spanish accent. The voice slipped Spanish numbers into key phrases. A recording of the odd-sounding accent drew attention on social media, and one person described the experience as hilarious, absurd, and like a scene out of Parks and Recreation. The Department of Licensing has apologized and says it fixed the problem. Keith Peters reporting.
Should marijuana users be able to own guns? That's what's at issue in a case being argued before the Supreme Court on Monday. The case creates some unusual alliances. Gun control groups are aligned with the Trump administration in arguing to uphold a law that bars people who regularly use marijuana from legally owning guns. You'll find breaking news and analysis at townhall.com. Another big company is pulling up stakes in California. Here's correspondent Bill Alexander.
Public Storage, which is the largest self-storage company in the United States, announced it will be moving its corporate headquarters to Frisco, Texas. The company was founded in California in 1972 and has been based in Glendale, a Los Angeles suburb. Public Storage said it is moving to take advantage of the depth of talent and innovation in the Frisco market.
Conservatives suggest California's high taxes, gas prices, and underperforming schools also played a role. Republican Congressman John James of Michigan is co-sponsoring a bill aimed at bringing transparency to U.S. health care.
It's going to give patients the control of what they do with their money and make the decisions about what they do with their lives. This is going to lower health care debt. This is going to increase quality of care. This is going to decrease prices. And it's going to hold these multi-billion-dollar conglomerates accountable.
More on these stories can be found at
Join your co-hosts Mike Tooman and Paul Burvitt on our weekly radio hour, Chief Guard of the Republic, where we talk about all things national security, defense, personal security, safety, and dealing with law enforcement situations. Call in 847-931-1410. Ask us questions. We will get you answers. Every week, Saturday, noon to 1 on 1410 AM WRMN Elgin. Streaming on WRMN1410.com. Chat with us on WRMN's YouTube live channel.
Chicago defense attorney Mark Schieblo has co-authored the book titled DUI Jury Trial, which is a true story of a DUI case that he defended. The accused was an Illinois truck driver arrested for driving under the influence of alcohol. This book contains facts about the case from the date of the arrest up to the jury's verdict, and this nonfiction novel also includes the transcripts from the jury trial itself. The book DUI Jury Trial is now available on Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com.
Fix bayonets, comrades. This is the Chief Guard of the Republic Veterans Radio Shoutout Show with your co-hosts Mike Tooman and Paul Burvitt every Saturday, noon until 2 on WRMN 1410 AM out of Elgin. Studio phone number is 847-931-1410. I forgot the text number. Not that anyone ever texts in. Oh, there we go. I should have it memorized. So it's 505-926-1410. All right, you can watch us on the YouTube channel, WRMN 1410.
Phone number is 847-931-1410. I forgot the text number.
So I'm hearing myself. I'm getting feedback on this.
Yeah, I should have it. So it's
Yeah, and it's a delay too. It's on that.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah,
Mike. I can see you on my phone, but not on the camera. So
I'm on the camera here. So
yeah, but I can't see it on mine. That's where the feedback is.
Okay. Well, I think we're done with the feedback now.
Okay.
Yeah. So okay. You can also follow us on like I said, YouTube, and you can make comments in the chat on the YouTube channel. We see Brendan out there. Brendan's always out there. Okay, so Paul.
Yes.
Last night you mentioned that something was going on in Iran, and I was like,
I did.
Well, I'm not sure. I haven't really been read up on that. Well, I haven't been read on in a long time. I haven't since 2021. Even before then, was the last time I was in a skiff or whatever. And I try not to follow a lot of world affairs because they just get me depressed. But apparently, a coalition of us and the Israelis attacked Iran.
That's true.
Yeah. And so, whereas I thought that wasn't going to happen that quick, right? But it did. And the thing is that what people should realize is we have literally been at war with Iran since 1979. I mean, this is I guess we had some sort of relationship for 8 years where we paid them billions of dollars to attack us with terrorism. But after that, it's been, we haven't had very good relations with them. So let me, how can I put this?
I think in a nutshell, it goes like this. The Shah of Iran got deposed, and then I can see it now. And then he went in exile. And then he needed treatment, as I recall. And then we gave him the opportunity to come to the United States for treatment. So at the time, the mullahs decided to take hostages. And they attacked the American embassy and the Soviet embassy, as I remember. And the UK embassy. So what happened was they held our citizens from the embassy for 444 days until Reagan got elected. And the day he was inaugurated, they released him. Okay. Ever since then, which was in 1980, 79 to 80, what happened was they've been a sponsor of international terrorist groups against the United States. And what happened since then is they've given support and training to all kinds of renegade non-state actors which are terrorists, okay? So there's always been a lot of talk and maybe a few missiles here or a few missiles there. But last year, I believe in July, which is Operation Midnight Hammer, this president decided to take out their nuclear weapons capabilities. And whether it actually did or delayed it or not, he's the only one to ever do that. And that was a limited campaign. Since then, there have been upheavals within the country of Iran. And there's been anecdotal information that up to 30,000 people have been murdered by the present regime. So in the last 6 to 8 weeks, there was a major buildup in the region, which includes 2 aircraft carriers, several of our top-line fighters, F-22s, F-15 Strike Eagle, F-35, and more recently, there's been a lot of aerial tanker activity, both over the Atlantic and in the region. So the buildup is unprecedented. And there's more Tomahawk missiles in the region right now than I don't think there has ever been in any specific region. So I guess we're in a dark of the moon phase, and the optimum time was beginning Wednesday to this weekend. The next time there would be a similar optimum moon would be about mid-March. Now, what's interesting is this happened during the month of Ramadan.
Yeah. So the timing, you know, I don't think the religious timing was there on that. I don't think that was a cause. But yeah, you're going to take into consider weather, light discipline, all that stuff whenever you have a military operation. What's going to be best for you and the worst for the enemy. And one of the things on this attack that I understand, what I've read on, is that the United States has stuck to pretty much military targets, and the Israelis have targeted political entities for destruction, like the regime leaders. Right? So, you know, to try to take them out. Now, in my training in the military with special operations, you know, if you want to overthrow a regime or have regime change, one of the basic things that you actually need in place is to have a local a resistance group. You have to have a resistance group. You have to have some group that's willing to fight their own government, you know. Otherwise, you don't have any support of the people at all. You know, you could pay for mercenaries within or whatever, but if you don't have a homegrown resistance group that's you take over and that's it. You know, who's going to take over the government now? You know, are you going to run the government yourself? Are you going to put in your patsies and everything else? So yeah, if they killed off 30,000 people that showed any sort of resistance, you know, that stops your project for the regime change, right? Because they just wiped out all your people. So you got to start from square one and get those people together again, get another group of people. And how much more difficult is it going to be if you have the intelligence failures where they were able to wipe out your entire resistance group? I don't.
Well, I think what's going on is the Iranian military has 2 components: Palace Guard, which is a political military, and then a military which is basically citizen soldier. And I think what happened is, from what I understood, was they were going to try to target the political Palace Guard, hoping that the citizen soldiers would come to arms and take it over, which is why you had the address from the president saying, you know, overthrow your government now. Now is the time. It's your only chance in the last decades.
Yeah. You know, you're appealing to the people, but here's how many of those people have access to that, have access to what the president in Iraq, in Iran, where it matters. How many of these people are actually seeing this happening? I mean, how many have I'm sure the Iranians control all the government has controlled all the input of all the internet going in and out of Iran. And the only way around that is to like go through a satellite system like Starlink, or to have some sort of HF communications coming in, shortwave radios to receive these radio broadcasts like Voice of America.
I believe a recent Starlink mission was to provide the capability recently. Yeah. So I do know that they have access to Starlink right now.
Yeah, but a few people.
Probably.
Iran is a country of 90 million people. 90 million. That's not Haiti. That's not. It's more than Venezuela. In fact, one of the things is that they are the 17th most populous country in the world. 17th most populous country in the world. So to get the word out to enough people, key people and everything, to cause a homegrown revolution, to come up there and flip the government, I have questions about that being able to happen on a mass scale. Like I said, and I have no faith in I have a little bit of faith, but not a lot in the CIA, I'll tell you that right now. When we went over to Bosnia, right, they set up some very, very expensive radio stations, very expensive FM broadcasting stations around the country. And we were sending out messages, nice messages. We would play the top 40 Euro trash, and then in between songs, they would play messages. And we went out and we did a survey of how many people in Bosnia were actually listening to these radio stations, and was, I believe, 106.7. Radio Mir. Mir means peace, right? So Radio Mir, 106.7. We went out and did a survey, and the first thing we found out, now mind you, I was the S41, which has the second rotation to I4, the initial forces, all right? So they were there for 6 months, then we came in, right? And we found out that all the radios that were made in Yugoslavia, right, only went up to 104. That's it. You wouldn't be able to get, 104. That was it. So you have all these big-brained people in North Carolina at the 8th PSYOP group, right? You have all these big-brained people in Germany that put up these radio stations that are, Germany's not that far from the former Yugoslavia, that didn't even know that the radios made in Yugoslavia only went up to 104. So what they had to do is they had to start giving away these little transistor radios that went up to like 108, just so they get this 106.7. And the other thing that they didn't check out, right, was that every channel above 100 was considered a pure communist channel. There was just government, just straight government. So people didn't even want to listen to that. So here's, something that should have been thought of, right? That someone should have asked that question and it didn't happen. So same thing with Starlink there. They could set up Starlink and everything, but whose hands is it falling into? Who are they giving it to? Who's gonna broadcast these messages out? Who has radios that can receive it? Which countries are broadcasting in information? Is Al Jazeera broadcasting and stuff? We tried to do that in Cuba with the Voice of America. And we were really, really like high wattage going from Miami into Cuba. And Fidel Castro at the time, he really didn't like it because, his people were getting counter information from us. So he decided that he was going to counter that, and he jammed all the television stations in Miami. So he took some jammers and he pointed them at Miami and he jammed the television stations. And then we reduced the wattage. So what I'm saying is, I hope the word is getting out. Maybe they drop leaflets. That's a good one. That would be a good one. But leaflets, the PSYOP leaflets, you drop them out of, I doubt they'd send a helicopter over. A C-130 would be good. And we don't really have a lot of leaflet bombs anymore in the inventory. But, dispersed leaflets, that might say something. But then if you get caught with one of those leaflets in your hand and the political police get you, it's goodbye. So I'm hoping like mad that the people of Iran, right, whose government was hijacked by religious zealots. Now, there's nothing wrong with being a religious zealot. I'm pretty zealous about my religion. So I'm just saying there's nothing wrong with being a religious zealot. But I hope that the people of Iran realize, that they have number two in the area in the Middle East. They're the number 2 reserves of oil and gas. They have the second largest reserves, I guess, next to Saudi Arabia. That's Iran, all right? And with the 12th largest population, and then they only have the 33rd largest economy, all right? So their economy is half of what their population should be. There's countries with much less population that have a larger economy that don't have those oil reserves. And here's the thing that people should realize. This is what's really going to upset them. All right. This is what caused the Soviet Union to finally decline. All right. Is you're working your butt off. You're working. You have all these resources and everything. And yet you can't even afford the world's crappiest car. You're living in an apartment with 42 other families. That all this work is going for how do we defeat the Soviet Union? We outspent them in military. They were everything. It was the keeping up with the Joneses, right? And everything was going to their military. So they were doing very little for their people. They had very little consumer economy, right? They're not doing things for the people. They're building tanks instead of washing machines. They're building radar jammers instead of televisions. Not that they wanted many televisions, right? People didn't have they're building military complexes rather than housing, right? So the people finally the information started getting out and the people got upset, first in Eastern Europe, and then the Soviet Union fell apart. It started opening up and people are like, why are we doing all this and not getting any benefit? And the reason we are able to defeat the Soviet Union, because we're spending a huge amount on defense, and we still spend a huge amount on defense, but a lot of that was also going to consumer economy. The consumer economy, the taxes that the government was collecting on people earning money and people buying cars and all the taxes on gas and everything else that they charged with people buying, right? The government was using to build the military. So the people buy stuff that they like and build the military. So we had a dual economy going, not just military, but consumer. And we could export consumer goods and we kept make money on that, where the Soviet Union was exporting nothing except military. And, you can only buy so much military stuff, and only so many countries can afford that. So here's the thing with Iran, in my opinion, is that it's going to be an economic war, right? And I've been wrong, and I don't want to, what do you call it, jinx anything on this, but I think this is not a boots on the ground war. This is where we send in aircraft and missiles to destroy their military structure. And they have two options. They could not replace the military structure and go with consumer items, right? Or they can cut down even further on the consumer items for the people, right? And spend more on military structure. Look at the billions they spent on anyone that says they were the country with the second largest oil reserves in the Middle East needed nuclear energy. If you got a full tank of gas, right? You you got a gas station in your backyard with 10,000 gallons, and you got a car that runs on gas. Do you go sell your gas car and buy an electric car? And I'm asking these questions.
No.
So we destroyed their military, and they have a choice: replace it or go with consumer goods. Now these knuckleheads in charge, because they are isolated, they live in a bubble, they're highly protected, they don't see the misery of their own people. They read their books, and they're told by all their sycophants how smart they are and how they're doing a good thing, and they really don't care about the majority of people so long as they're not climbing over the palace walls, right, to get at them, right? They will continue to buy buy the artillery pieces, buy the missile systems, all right? And what did they do? They went right back to the nuclear thing. And the nuclear thing is for one reason alone. It's not for electricity. They are enriching uranium to make nuclear weapons. You just can't mine uranium and make a good, make good hydrogen bomb, right? You have, uranium, plutonium, you got to enrich that stuff. I'm not a nuclear scientist or physicist or anything like that, but I knew that, the raw materials have to be very carefully refined. Once they're carefully refined, then you can make a nuclear weapon. Once you make the nuclear weapon, the problem becomes delivering that, right? You got to get it somewhere. Otherwise, the people are like, yeah, they got a nuclear weapon in their backyard. So if we go into wherever and they blow it up, we're in danger. But if we don't go there, we're not in any danger. The problem is that they're also developing ICBM, Intercontinental Ballistic Missile. So they could take that warhead, put it on the ICBM, and launch it wherever on a whim, because these guys have so much hubris, that if they launch it, they don't care about the secondary or the tertiary effects of that. They don't think about that. The secondary, tertiary effects is that Persia becomes the great glass landmass, right? All right. So we'll be back for the second quarter of the Chief Guard of the Republic show. Want to read some action-packed, exciting pulp fiction? Read the works of Michael Tooman, now featuring their international crime thriller, I Married a Bot Madam. Available on Amazon in hardcover, paperback, and Kindle editions. The paperback is also available at other book retailers. Check out Michael Tooman's webpage at Scilink.net. That's Papa, Sierra, Yankee, Lima, India, November, Kilo, dot, November, Echo, Tango.
I'm Danielle Penman, a registered nurse, conservative Republican, and longtime resident of St. Charles running for state senator. I'm focused on cutting taxes, supporting law enforcement, and holding Springfield accountable. Because Illinois families deserve better.
Paid for by Friends for Danielle Penman.
When it comes to orthopedic and spine surgery, Prime Healthcare St. Joseph Hospital in Elgin leads the way. Recognized by U.S. News and World Report as a high performer across multiple surgery types, we offer advanced and minimally invasive procedures supported by state-of-the-art imaging technology. Our expert surgeons and compassionate care teams are here to help you move, heal, and live better every step of the way. St. Joseph Hospital in Elgin, exceptional care close to home.
Is diabetes keeping you from enjoying life's special moments? At US Med, we understand the challenges you face, and we're here to help.
With US Med, I can finally manage my diabetes without it managing me.
US Med offers a wide range of services to simplify your diabetes care. Personalized care plans, convenient access to cutting-edge diabetes tech, and knowledgeable support. Plus, we'll check your insurance so your diabetes care may be covered at little or no cost to you.
With US Med, I feel confident and control of my diabetes. I can finally live my life to the fullest.
Don't let diabetes hold you back. Choose US Med and experience better birthdays, better adventures, better anniversaries, and better everything. Call now. US Med. Better service, better care. 800-785-1673. 800-785-1673. 800-785-1673. That's 800-785-1673.
Most people out here think that taking care of one another is important. And most people would step up for a neighbor going through a tough time. Most people around here help out friends and family when they need it. But the funny thing is, most of us won't look for help when we need it. If you're struggling with mental health, you should know that there are resources out there that can help. And it's okay to talk about it if you need to. One place to get started with information is loveyourmindtoday.org. Loveyourmindtoday.org offers a range of guides, instructions, and insights for dealing with difficult situations or getting through a tough time. If you're struggling with mental health, get the help you need, because most people out here really care. Visit loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
Join your co-hosts Mike Tooman and Paul Burvitt on our weekly radio hour, Chief Guard of the Republic, where we talk about all things national security, defense, personal security, safety, and dealing with law enforcement situations. Call in 847-931-1410. Ask us questions. We will get you answers. Every week, Saturday, noon to 1 on 1410 AM WRMN Elgin. Streaming on WRMN1410.com. Chat with us on WRMN's YouTube live channel. Fixed bayonets, comrades. This is Chief Guard of the Republic radio show with your co-hosts Mike Tooman and Paul Burvitt every Saturday, noon until 2. Our studio call-in number here is 847-931-1410. Our text number is 505-926-1410. You could hit us up on WRMN Radio's YouTube live channel, WRMN 1410. You know, look for that on the YouTube, and you can hit us up in the comments there. And, all right, so we're back. We're talking about there's nothing up on that I can see, but we're talking about Iran, you know, the attack on Iran, and I would say counterattack, and I'm not saying it's, you know, the president can't declare a war, but he called a national emergency for national defense reasons. And we discussed this like ad nauseum before, right? And he's got like 30 days to convince Congress and everything this is all good, right? So Congress can act and they could put a stop to it by denying the funding and everything. I don't think that's going to happen. I think even the most, well, no, I'd be proven wrong. I've been proven wrong, man. So far, the majority is not going to have issue with what the president does, because you could call up and tell me I'm wrong, but this is payback for a lot of stuff the Iranians have done to us that they really deserved. Afghanistan for 20 years, our number one enemy in Afghanistan was Iran. Absolutely. Absolutely. If you guys have ever heard of a thing called an EFP, an explosively formed projectile. It's very nasty. It's where they take a copper wok and put it on a bunch of explosives, and it forms a molten copper teardrop traveling at supersonic speeds that smashes through all the armor. At the time, we had a lot of light armored vehicles. And this is not only in Afghanistan, but in Iraq. All right? And these were being mass produced in Iran and just being shipped up there because they're attacking us, but through proxies. Through proxies. The Iranians would buy shipments and shipments of Chinese AKs, and those ended up in Afghanistan. Now, the Iranians make AKs on, they were making it on license. They wouldn't ship their own, though, because they wanted a cutout. They wanted that cutout there. So they were an extreme problem for us, not only in Afghanistan, but also in Iraq. And if you saw, like 6 years ago, I believe the president at that time sent a wake-up call to the Iranians because they were still messing with us in Iraq and in Syria, right? They were still doing it, and he sent a wake-up call to one of them. Guy landed, and he blew him up. He blew him up. And they had the intelligence to prove that this was all directed against us, right? So they're fighting these proxy wars. They're fighting and they didn't think we would do anything back. That's the way they fought. They're like, oh, we're gonna supply money to the Houthis to launch missiles at us, and then when the Americans strike back, they're gonna blow up the Houthis. They're not blowing up us, right? Hamas is Sunni. Iranians are majority Shia, right? But because Hamas causes such problems in Palestine, right? They fund them just to cause the problems. Then you got the Hezbollah in Lebanon. Those are Shia, and they fund them, causing problems again, not only for people that cooperate with us in the area, but also for our soldiers that are over there. Right? So they're right now, what's happening there, I'd call it like payback. Like, what do they say? Revenge is a dish best served cold. And now we got leadership in there that says, we're not going to take your little snide remarks. You're sitting in a classroom and some kid keeps flicking your ear, sitting behind you, right? And the teacher doesn't see it. He waits for the teacher to turn his back, messing with you. Suddenly you get up and punch him in the head, and what happens? Oh, the teacher's like, oh, you're the bad guy. Well, that's what the Iranians are doing, flicking you in the ear. Now they're getting punched in the head, and the teacher is not in the majority anymore. All right? So we got in a majority party there. Not overly confident in them either, but now they're seeing what's happening. They have the FA, right? There's the FA stage. I think now they've suddenly realized that the goons in charge over there suddenly realize they're in the FO stage. They are finding out. They found, some people just don't take a hint, right? You send in these B2s? The B2 bombers, right? I'm confused by the B levels. They sent in the B2s. They trapped the bunker busters, right? They got in and out, no problem, right? On accosted, right? It just came out of nowhere. You would think, right, that they would have said, oh, we're totally outclassed, right? But these aren't military leaders. These are political leaders. Their military generals and everything are just crawling up the ranks by kissing patootie. They're sycophants. They're like, if I say the right thing, then the religious leader is going to put me in charge. And when I get put in charge, I get the best place to live. I get the best food, I have all the luxuries while the people are living like dirt, even the citizen soldiers. But I keep the Republican Guard. Well, that's Iraq, right? but I keep the Praetorian Guard, right, going back to Rome, I keep them happy because those are the guys that don't want to turn on me. Those are they're nothing less than bodyguards, prison guards of this country, keeping the people prisoner. You could have your cannon fodder out there. Saddam Hussein used that. He used all of his he press ganged everyone in. They were cannon fodder. He could care. He could care less. But as Republican guards, that was different. All right? And those guys did fight. But in Iran, I strongly oppose boots on the ground. I love the fact that we have a very powerful Navy, that we have a very powerful Air Force, Naval Air Force, Marine aviators, all right? I love that fact, right? I love that we have a Space Force up there that is going to control these satellites and everything. You know, give us, not only will we have air dominance, we'll have information dominance. And I want us to wipe out every piece of prison equipment, their artillery, missile launching systems, their radar systems, and in order of precedence, I would go, what's the most expensive military items they have? And I would go right down the list, wiping them out. That's how I would target them. And then they have a choice. Buy more and really go into debt. Who's going to... Russia has plenty of oil, right, Paul?
Yeah.
Everyone's going to, this is a war for oil. This is war for oil. All right? The only people that are going to want to buy Iranian oil, right, are the Chinese and the Indians, because they're the most energy greedy. They're guzzling more energy than anyone else. But we already got sanctions on Iranian oil, and they don't have any tankers to get it out of there. And if they want to get it over to India, they got to go through Afghanistan or Pakistan. And the Pakistanis aren't necessarily friendly to them. And the Afghanis can be bought off, but they're Sunni majority as opposed to Shia minority. When we were in Afghanistan, they were more than happy to take Iranian help. Right? Now, we're not there. The Russians aren't there. So now you come to the part where we're Sunni, they're Shia. What they will do, and I'm sure they've done this already, all that equipment we left in Afghanistan, they'll gleefully sell it to the Iranians. But what are the Iranians going to pay for it with? The Afghanis really don't need oil. They don't have enough infrastructure to need all that oil. Where are they going to store it? They have cars, but not, if you're selling that stuff to the Iranians, you're going to require a lot of oil, and it's unrefined. They don't have refineries. So they're going to want hard currency, which I don't think the Iranians really have much of anymore. So it comes down to economics. It comes down to economics. We could bomb all their civilians into oblivion. All right? But we're not supposed to do that. We're only supposed to target military targets. But in total, okay, Dresden, not a military target. So we have history on that. The other thing I'm getting to here, Paul, this is the scary thing. All right? This is scary. And I mentioned it to you. Precedents. So now that our supporters, I don't want to even call them allies, right? But Israel is targeting political personnel, right? And I think it was Eisenhower that said that we were not going to assassinate national leaders. Right? Eisenhower pulled that out of the playbook for the CIA. But the Israelis have no qualms with that. So they're going after political people, military leadership. right? Well, what if the Russians started doing that directly with the senior political leadership in Kiev? They know where they all live. They could drop down hypersonic missiles without even warheads on them, and just blow a civilian area, a residential area, to pieces just to get one guy. And they could say, well, how come you could do it in Iran? Because all Ukraine is the precedents we set in Kosovo. And they just took, when you start precedents, there's always someone that's going to take it to its logical, absolute, edge of the envelope, right? They're going to push that all the way. So you could argue with me, say, hey, the Russians had no precedence for that, and I'll just say Kosovo. Go ahead. Ask a Serbian about Kosovo. And then you could ask all the Ukrainians you want about Ukraine, about the Donbass region and everything. That's the scary thing, is the precedence and how that's going to play out in the Ukraine war. Because everything's going to have, there's a ripple effect, right? What do they call it? The butterfly effect? Mm-hmm. So you do this in Iran, and the Russians go, well, obviously, the Americans ain't going to send a lot of missiles, anti-aircraft missiles, anti-radar missiles, all these other missiles to Ukraine, because we're using them all up against Iran, which means we got to produce more, which is good for Raytheon and those guys. And let's not forget that on the day a certain blue dress DNA test came back, that president launched $420 million worth of munitions into goat farms in Afghanistan. There's a distraction, and we still spent 20 years in Afghanistan. I don't think we're going to have. Do you think we're going to put boots on the ground, Paul?
I don't know. I do know that it's. I think in one way there has to be a change in the country. I know that they had opportunities under past presidents where they could have supported it, and maybe it would have taken longer, but it would have been more local. I don't know.
Well, there are very few countries. I don't even think. Okay, Azerbaijan, Armenia, Iraq, Kuwait, Turkmenistan, Pakistan, and Afghanistan. I'm pretty sure those are all the countries that border Iran. And none of those are particularly friendly to us. Maybe Kuwait. And we all know how the Kuwaitis fight. But, how do we can land? There's another thing, right? They have a Navy. And a couple years back, we were very embarrassed by their Navy. And I don't think it was because of our sailors or Marines, out there. I think that they were handcuffed into the point where it was staged that, these guys were set up to have that embarrassment, be embarrassed that way. That's not going to happen now. I'm wondering, what would like I said, I would attack their largest cost military things. So if they have what did I say? They got 4 frigates and 3 corvettes. Right. And the frigate is smaller than a destroyer, but it's still capable of carrying missiles, right, and anti-submarine warfare. And I guess the difference between a frigate and a corvette is a frigate is capable of blue water navy, where a corvette is going to be littoral, along, it's got to stay close to the coast because if it gets those big waves and everything, it's just going to take it out. So that's 7 ships. We sink that. Their Navy's pretty much gone because all they got left is 3 old Russian subs and 2 mini submarines, which I hope we could find. The thing is, if you want to defend those things and you know the American people and you know the American press, how do you keep your ships from being blown up? Well, you pull them in a port close to a hospital. You pull them in a port. You pull them very close to people. You use your citizens as human shields. You declare them hospital ships and you put a bunch of sick people on them. Oh, no, they're not combat ships anymore. They're all Red Cross hospital ships. We took the weapons off of them. You put them right back on, but... So, all right. No, I'm bored with this subject, Paul. You bored?
A little bit.
A little bit. I mean, what can we do about it, right? I'm just trying to explain to the American people that when you hear the press say...
There's nothing we can do.
If you hear the press say this was unprecedented, they're lying to you. If you hear the press say that the Iranians are innocent in everything and they're a sovereign country and you shouldn't attack them, just ask all of our boys that died in Iraq and Afghanistan, all right? Ask the guys that got hit in Syria. Ask them if these Iranians, right, weren't out there doing it. And then ask them how many sleepers are in the United States that cross the border.
Well, that's what I'm worried about.
Here's the thing. This is where, once you take out the political guys, right, we don't do that. So we got our, quote, friends doing that for us. It's really like, I just watched Demolition Man, right? Wesley Snipes and Sylvester Stallone. Not the greatest movie in the world, but it's got funny points, right? And Wesley Snipes is this Joker-esque character, Batman Joker-esque character. And he acts really like it. That's probably where he got his inspiration. And they have him in suspended animation, right? And while he's in the suspended animation, he's getting subliminal training and stuff. And one of the things they tell him is that he can't kill this president, right? That's got control over him, or the mayor of New Los Angeles or whatever, right? He can't kill this guy that's got the evil plan. So he tosses a gun to one of his thugs and says, "You kill him for me." So here's the thing, right? Once the boss is gone, are these guys true believers to the point where they're going to fight on knowing that if they're captured, they have no cover? If they want to get out, they have no more underground railroads, safe routes, safe houses and everything, because those were all controlled by the intelligence agencies over there that'll be dismantled. Are they still going to carry out anything?
It depends on how much of a believer they are.
Yeah, I mean, I don't...
I'll tell you something, though. I saw something really amazing last night. I was watching co-host Marla had contacted me and told me that, because I had talked to you earlier, I thought it was coming, and it was kind of late, and she contacted me late last night and said, it started, it was like 2:30 in the morning, So I watched this channel called Agenda Free, and the guy was announcing, and he had cameras up. I think it was in Haifa, and you could see this Israeli submarine booking to get out of the harbor. And it was kind of amazing. And everybody was commenting, "That's a submarine. Look at the submarine." And it was just booking to get out to deep water. And, it's really wild.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll see what's going to happen over the weekend. I'm sure they.
Well, that's another thing too. They did it to make sure the stock market was closed too.
Yeah, well, that too. But well, whenever Chicago does something, when I was a police officer, right, all the transfer orders came out on Friday. So no one could call their clout because it was the weekend. All right.
Right.
And the press didn't care until Monday. All right. And by that time, everyone's forgotten about it. It's blown over, or it's been explained away, or it's too much time has passed. So if you're gonna hit someone with a sledgehammer, all right, and you know no one's gonna stop you till Monday, do you stop hitting?
No, you
go the whole weekend, brother. You just all right. So I was a small kid in high school, right? Small kid, not, didn't really grow till I was in my junior summer, going to be a senior. And one thing I learned is that all these guys that were kind of bullies and stuff, the ear flickers and stuff, right? I would wait till classes changed, and I would grab them, slam them against lockers, and just start throwing punches. Right? Just start throwing punches as fast and as hard as I could. Don't let them get anything, surprise them and everything, because then by the time I'm done, here comes the teacher breaking it up, and I'm like, oh, I'm in detention again. Oh, no. Oh, I got a straight A average. They don't care. So it's like, that's what I want. That's what I expect to see. I expect at the end, at Monday morning, that the entire Iranian Navy is at the bottom of the Straits of Hormuz. All right. And that, right, the entire Iranian Air Force is nothing more than a paper airplane. That's all they have left over. All right. And when all that stuff is gone, right, and the people see it, someone's got to say this is going to cost us a lot, And we're waiting for the music to go away because I've been told that I could talk through the music. And that's going to make it a little more complicated with splicing this stuff and everything. But when we get back, I want to talk about social media. All right?
Sounds good.
Want to read some action-packed, exciting pulp fiction? Read the works of Michael Tooman, now featuring their international crime thriller, I Married a Bot Madam. Available on Amazon in hardcover, paperback, and Kindle editions. The paperback is also available at other book retailers. Check out Michael Tooman's webpage at Scilink.net. That's Papa Sierra Yankee Lima India November Kilo dot November Echo Tango. Join your co-hosts Mike Tooman and Paul Burvitt on our weekly radio hour, Chief Guard of the Republic, where we talk about all things national security, defense, personal security, safety, and dealing with law enforcement situations. Call in 847-931-1410. Ask us questions. We will get you answers. Every week, Saturday, noon to 1 on 1410 AM WRMN Elgin. Streaming on WRMN1410.com. Chat with us on WRMN's YouTube Live channel.
Your hometown radio station since 1949. We are WRMN AM 1410 Elgin time, 1 o'clock.
Breaking news this hour at Town Hall. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. President Trump has announced the U.S. and Israel have launched a new military strike against Iran.
The United States military is undertaking a massive and ongoing operation to prevent this very wicked, radical dictatorship from threatening America and our core national security interests.
More on the attack from White House correspondent Greg Clugston.
The president said Iranian leaders rejected every opportunity to renounce their nuclear ambitions, forcing the U.S. military to take action against Iran and its state-sponsored terrorism.
It's been mass terror, and we're not going to put up with it any longer.
In a video statement, he warned of possible U.S. casualties.
The lives of courageous American heroes may be lost, and we may have casualties, that often happens in war.
The president said the mission's objective is to end threats from the regime and allow the Iranian people to take over their government. Greg Clugston, Washington.
There have been more arrests over the Minnesota church protest that led to charges against Don Lemon.
30 additional people are being charged over the January 18th anti-ICE protest at a St. Paul, Minnesota church that led to the arrests of Don Lemon, Georgia Fort, and local activists. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi announced that most of the protesters were already in custody. 39 people now face charges of conspiracy against religious freedom and interfering with the right of religious freedom. A lawyer for City's church praised the Justice Department for charging more people, saying the First Amendment does not give anyone license to storm a church and intimidate families. Protesters focused on the church after learning a pastor there is also an immigration enforcement official. I'm Jennifer King.
Michelangelo's The Last Judgment is getting a facelift. Vatican museums today unveiled how restorers are removing a chalky white film of salt that's built up over about 25 years from all the people who come through the doors of that building every day. More on these stories at townhall.com.
We have reached the age where things just cost more.
Cars, phones, life insurance.
Your blood pressure is up.
Your weight is up.
You're one to talk.
I have type 2 diabetes, so I'm getting dinged just like you.
Thank goodness for Big Lou.
Big Lou!
Big Lou can get term life insurance rates for a 50-year-old male with type 2 diabetes or high blood pressure, or maybe he's on anxiety meds for just around $200 a month for $1 million of coverage.
Oh, you got to say that again.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'll say it. Big Lou and term provider could get a 50-year-old man, a little dinged up, $1 million in life insurance for around $200 a month.
Call Big Lou.
Big Lou!
He's like you.
800-555-2085. That's 800-555-2085. Don't put it off. If you're overweight, diabetic, have high blood pressure, you gotta call Big Lou.
Gotta.
800-555-2085. Write it down. 800-555-2085.
There's been a deadly transit crash in central Milan.
Milan's mayor, Beppe Sala, says one victim was aboard the tram and another was passing by. The mayor says the tram skipped a stop and was traveling at a higher rate of speed than would be expected. He says the driver has been hospitalized and an investigation is underway. Video by Sky TG24 shows the tram suddenly swerve at its switch track that is used by another tram line and go off its usual course, and nearly flipped on its side before slamming to a stop. The number 9 tram runs through the busy heart of Milan, which is hosting seasonal fashion shows and preparations for the Paralympic Games. I'm Jennifer King.
Warren Buffett's successor has released his first letter to Berkshire Hathaway shareholders as the company took a $4.5 billion write-down on the value of its Kraft Heinz and Occidental Petroleum stakes. Greg Abel took over as CEO back in January. You'll find breaking news and analysis at townhall.com. Defense Secretary Hegseth says Scouting America will alter several of its policies to maintain support from the U.S. military.
The changes include a requirement that members use biological sex at birth and not gender identity. Hegseth has criticized Scouting America's historic rebrand from the Boy Scouts and other changes in recent years that he considers part of woke culture. The organization began allowing gay youth in 2013, ended a ban on gay adult leaders in 2015, and announced in 2017 that it would accept transgender students. Rich Thomason reporting.
An official says a cargo plane carrying money has crashed near Bolivia's capital city, damaging about a dozen vehicles on a highway and scattering bills all over the ground, also tragically leaving at least 15 people dead. A defense minister said that the plane was transporting newly printed Bolivian currency when it landed and veered off the runway. More on these stories at Town Hall.
Are you dreaming of a getaway? Want to leave the stress of daily life behind? Whether it's a relaxing cruise or an adventurous land escape, planning the perfect vacation doesn't have to be a hassle. At Cruises International, they specialize in vacation destinations, land and sea, making your dreams come true. Located at 1721 Moon Lake Boulevard in Hoffman Estates, Cruises International isn't just about booking travel. They're your personal concierge, trusted travel advisor, and advocate. Your preferences are unique, and they'll take the time to understand exactly what you're looking for. From personalized service to their global network of specialists, they ensure that your vacation is tailor-made just for you. It's time to plan the vacation of a lifetime. Call 800-255-7447. That's 800-255-7447. 888-255-7447 today and speak to a cruise and vacation expert. Cruises International. It's time to set sail to your dream destination.
Fix Bayonets, comrades, we're back for the second half of the Chief Guard of the Republic show with your co-hosts Mike Tooman and Paul Burvid. Every Saturday, noon until 2, WRMN, 1410 a.m., the Fox River Valley Media Network, coming out of Elgin with the massive 2,000 watts off of some antenna somewhere around here. And you could watch us if you don't have a very powerful receiver to get us anywhere past O'Hare. Although people on the south side have gotten us pretty good. You could use WRMN1410.com and you could hit listen live and you could stream right on the internet. Or you go to the YouTube live channel and you could stream it on there. There is a slight delay. So can you put it? Yeah. And what's funny is with the slight delay, well, it's not that. Yeah, it's still a little bit delayed. The last week, it was really delayed on the YouTube. And I could wave at myself, and like 30 seconds later, I'd wave back. So now I want to vengefully talk about social media. So this week, I don't even know. I think I have a reason why Facebook, out of nowhere, 180-day suspension. Deplatform, completely deplatform, right? Can't check anything, can't do anything, can't do any of that stuff, right? And then Instagram, which I understand is owned by the same reptilian overlords, yeah, as Meta, Facebook, they deplatform me. And the only thing I could think of, right, is that I had posted a couple things hawking my books, right? A little boost for my books. Everyone knows I'm a writer. It's on my thing. You go to scilink.net. I'm sure WRMN is going to deplatform me for pushing my webpage. So scilink.net, all right? And it's got a list of my books there. And so I put these up, and then a couple of days later, and it's just a post. It's like, hey, read my novels. They're, about police or about military. Something was military, and I put something. I got these 2 military novels there. Read them, and they're novels, right? And if you have Kindle Unlimited, all my novels are free. They're all free. Kindle Unlimited, you could pull up my novel. Go just Michael Francis Tooman. Now, I got no problems with the name Francis. It's awesome. Francis is awesome. I love the name Francis. All right. Michael,
that was my father's middle name.
Yeah. It's a good middle name. Franciszek. All right. And, Michael Francis Tooman is opposed to all the other Michael Toomans out there. Michael Francis Tooman. You see, I'm an author, and I write these novels, and I'm not making any money. They haven't caught on yet. They're good novels. I like them. I read them over and over. That's how narcissistic I am, right?
Very good.
And I think that's the standard that I violated of them because they want you to pay money to advertise, right? So I didn't pay money. I just put a post up there, and it ended up being my own advertisement. Although my algorithms are so low because I post so little, right, that my algorithms are low. So, these things probably didn't get out to 4 or 5. The only other thing other than that, those posts there, because I try not to be controversial on Facebook or any of the mainstream ones on account of, I have consideration for WRMN. Like it says, my opinions are not necessarily WRMN opinions, but I don't want to be people consider me to be such a jerk out there that they take it out on WRMN. They shouldn't do that, So maybe someone got offended by something I said and went and complained to Facebook, and without asking me first, like sending me an email, right? Or saying, hey, did you say this or did you do this? Willy-nilly, guilty till proven innocent, bam. And that's the thing. Guilty till proven innocent. Wow. Is that our country, Paul?
No.
No. But it's Facebook, it's the corporation. And then they wanted me to appeal, right? And they said, well, give us a selfie. I'm like, no. They need me more than I need them. Simple. I am not an, quote, influencer. I don't make any money. I haven't monetized anything. I haven't, not enough followers or viewers to monetize anything, right? So I am just one of these people, statistics that say we have 1 billion users of Facebook. Well, now they have 999,999,999 users. But, all right, so the thing with a lot of these accounts, too, that you see people out there, this is all psychological operation stuff. It's you have to see it for what it is. You have to accept certain things, right? You have to look at everything within a certain framework, right? Not too narrow, not too wide, You can't be way conspiracy theory and you can't be pinpoint focused. So when you see a social media post of a real person, right? That's like 1/1000th of a second of their life. If it's a picture, right? Instagram, it's a picture. Oh, look, I'm smiling and I got all these friends around me and everything else. That's 1/1000th of a second of their life. Unless they're posting videos, then it might be a couple minutes of their life, right? That's not their whole life in there. But everyone assumes that everything's hunky-dory their whole life because of this 1/1000th of a second. Right? And that's what they're pushing on you, just like advertising. They're pushing on you that they're happy, so listen to them. All right. Now, a person says he's got 100,000 followers. Now, if you had the time and you're just bored out of your wits and you went in there and followed them and then checked all the other followers, I wonder how many of those 100,000 followers would have one profile picture, right? And nothing in their descriptions, right? Nothing in their about, like a name and a profile picture. That's it. Because those are all bots. So, yeah, they got 100,000 followers. 99,000 of them are bots. And the other 1,000 are following them because they have 100,000 followers. Right, Paul? You see the circular logic in that, right?
You can also tell by when the followers channel is created or whatever.
Yeah. And so, like, if I wanted to be a New York Times best-selling author, what's the easiest way to do that?
Have a bunch of people log in.
No, to buy my book, right? I have to buy. So what's the best way to do that? Well, I mortgage my house and I buy my book off Amazon, 100,000 copies in one day. Boom. Right? Because that's how they judge bestsellers, is how many you sold. They don't care who you sold it to. Right? So all of a sudden, I'm published in the New York Times. Bestseller, right? This week for New York Times. Now, right, I got this warehouse of my books, right? But hopefully I'm selling more books so I could pay off my mortgage now. And then the other books get sold. But it is.
I would do it another way.
Okay.
I'd set up a nonprofit, have the nonprofit buy the book, and distribute the book as part of my program services.
Wow.
That way, your house isn't mortgaged. You get your 100,000 views. You become the bestseller, and then, whatever.
You sound like the former Attorney General of the United States.
Could be.
Where you use your son-in-law, right? And then there's some laws passed that they can only use this. What do you call it? They can only use this book at the public schools, right?
Right.
And your son-in-law is the one that sells these books. Yeah,
that's the way to do it.
That is a way to do it, right? And the same thing's happening there, is that these influencers, right? If someone wants them to be an influencer, they're out there. And after they get this 100,000 bot followers, which could be made with artificial intelligence. Here we go. Read my book. I Married a Bot Madam. But even better yet, read the next one in line. After you read I Married a Bot Madam, you could read The Daughters of Bot Madam, which is the sequel to that. It talks a lot about artificial intelligence and stuff. And then I'm working on the next one, the trilogy, the cap to the trilogy, The Broods of Birdbot.
Oh, wow.
That's a spy novel involving the CIA. Not the CIA, I'm sorry, the NSA, not the CIA, the NSA, the National Security Agency. So, nothing I'm saying is, nothing I'm putting in there is classified. I wasn't read on for any of this stuff, right? So, if I'm putting it out there, I'm just making it up. Because they're novels. That's what you do. You make up a plot. You make up characters. It's a novel. Right? So here's the quandary, right? If I don't have social media, how do I know what people are saying about me? With the social media, right? Well, I got to ask people that I know, hey, has anyone slammed me on social media? They're like, I don't care about what they're saying about you. They're more, it's like, but is that really a problem? I Googled myself, and some other search engines, and my author stuff comes up. And of course, my, brutality into offenders. You arrest a couple offenders, but when you're in patrol, offenders are throwing themselves at you, right? And you got to deal with them. And then they don't like it when they get locked up for breaking the law, right? And then they beef on you. And then you get a beef and they say that you were brutal and all that other stuff. So, one, don't believe all this stuff out there when someone's got 1 billion followers, right? All these millions of followers, and it makes no sense. Know that my goddaughter down in Florida, she does not like the term artificial intelligence. She prefers the term machine learning. And one of the things she said, these people are applying for jobs out there, right? And they're learning to use the AI machine learning, and that goes out and you do a resume, you use the AI, general term. People don't understand machine learning. They've all been indoctrinated with AI now, right? You use the AI, and it submits your resume for every single job it can find out there, whether you're qualified or not. And and a lot of people do that, and now one job comes out there, and they've suddenly got 50,000 resumes for that one job, because AI has put it there. So this one HR guy, he had his people, he said he wanted them to submit, this is where, it goes off the deep end. He wanted his HR people to narrow it down so you're not getting all these AI applications, resumes set in. So, you can thin it down to actual people, right? And they made the prerequisites for this job so high, this guy put in his own resume and he got rejected. He's the boss of all these guys, and it rejected his resume. So it works one way or another, right? Either everyone gets rejected or accepts everyone. I'm gonna catch heck for this one, right? This is a joke, comedy, right? You go into a grocery store and there's a kid old enough to know better. I'm not saying some baby or something, right? But a kid old enough to go know better, and he's throwing a screaming fit, right? And mama's ignoring it, right? And I usually walk up to him and I go, hey, lady, either you're beating that kid too much or not enough. Find a happy medium. It's like the happy medium there. But Now, when you have influencers, so-called influencers, right? And you have the people that they're influencing, right? Why did they become the influencer? Because of any great skill that they had, any great knowledge that they had, any great...
Somebody wanted them to be.
Someone wanted them to be, right? And those people are not manipulating the influence, which they absolutely are, right? Is they're using that influencer to manipulate other people, right? So like I said, they create 999,000 bots to say that this person's got 1 million followers, right? Because they only have 1,000 actual followers. But those 1,000 actual followers are the true believers, right? They just want to follow because there's 1 million people there. They might not agree with anything this person says. Or they do agree with them, which is crazy now, because now, like I said, the true believer, right? So now once you got those 1,000 people narrowed down, you know they're not bots and everything, now you can start talking to them and targeting them towards your goals. Like, oh, ICE is bad. Let's go out there and protest. Let's go to these 1,000 people that because the bots are all saying ICE is bad. You got 990,000 people, 999,000 electronic entities, not sentient, just entities. And you push one button on your control and your computer that controls the, what did they used to call it? The, in Word, you would have the mega things, or you just push a button combination, like types out a whole sentence.
Hyperlink or something?
No, the hyperlink is when you click under and it sends you to a web page or somewhere in the document. They used to use them way back in the day in Word. That's how they would transmit a lot of the viruses. I'm bad at words because, I write novels. That's why I'm bad at words. I'll think of it. I'll be screaming in at 1 o'clock in the morning. Anyways, they just push one button, and just like sending, 1 million resumes out, right? It has all these bots out there saying the same exact thing. And all of a sudden, oh, it's trending. It's trending. Yeah, that's good. It's trending. All right, so people that are too involved in social media, right? I'm glad I'm deplatforming myself now. I mean, LinkedIn. Oh, LinkedIn, it's all great like this. I got nothing out of LinkedIn. Zero, right? And then I saw the guy that was in charge of LinkedIn, and I'm like, delete. Gone. Deplatformed myself. They say that these guys are all powerful and everything, but if you deplatform yourself, they can't force you to be platformed on this. I mean, you get a job that says you have to have a Facebook account, right? It could be part of your contract. You sign up for the job. You need to have a Facebook account. Okay. Now you have a reason to sue Facebook, right? If Facebook deplatforms you unfairly and you lose your job account of it, and your job required you to have Facebook, and you proved that Facebook used some stupid algorithm to deplatform you, but are you going to be able to afford the lawyer on that one? What do you got to say about social media, Paul?
I think it's kind of strange, because like you were talking about this. I actually put myself into AI at the suggestion of a friend, and I come out looking like the greatest guy ever. I did all these public prosecutions, and I've also been known for going after these sexual assaults. I mean, I should run for office from what I saw in myself on AI. But I mean, it's just crazy. But I'm on YouTube, okay, and mostly the stuff I do is model trains or GI Joes or models or things like that. And they're supposed to be, some levels you meet. So I think I started about 2 years ago, Thanksgiving, and I had like minimal view. And then, it was mostly in my train. And I start doing these shorts, and now I'm over almost 150,000 views. And one of them was this neighborhood in Chicago where they're taking a whole block down.
Yeah.
And I filmed it. And, that one was my biggest one. I got 18,000 views like overnight. But, they want you to promote it. And then, I try not to say anything controversial, but my stuff is just like hobby and nature and things like that. So, and I did it as a way, because my phone was getting filled up, to preserve my videos and my layout.
It's a good free cloud service.
And I could get it off my phone, So, I also know that I've had channels that I've watched that have been banned and stuff for basically nothing really. So it concerns me,
So if you want to follow Paul's videos from YouTube, a lot of trains, real nice ones and everything, and you could find them on the link. So you go to cgr.silink, PSYLINK.net. I still can't believe no one took silink.net. It's a good one, PSYLINK.net, but cgr.silink.net. So it's a subdomain, right? And you come up our webpage, and there's a link. When you say about Paul and Mike, you go to Paul, and there's a link to Paul's YouTube page there. So I got to change some stuff in there, yeah. But yeah, I've been to his YouTube page, and I follow it, and I find YouTube to be useful, right? They haven't deplatformed us yet. Maybe they haven't found us yet. I don't know. But I pay for the YouTube. I have the YouTube extended or whatever. So I pay for it because I wanted more cloud space to upload my videos. Because just like you, if I have them up there, if the hard drive crashes or anything, I could still download them. That's why I got a Gmail. I pay for my Gmail account because you have extra cloud space on that too. Sometimes if you pay for a service, you get a little better, and they're less likely to deplatform you if you're paying for it. It's like, hey, that would be like a drug dealer, right? He's got a junkie that comes every week, right? And one day he tells this junkie that's always giving him $10, right? Like every day, right? Gives him at least $10, right? He says, sorry, we're not selling you dope anymore. Go somewhere else. Never going to happen. Never going to happen. All right, we'll be back for the last quarter of the Chief Guard of the Republic radio show.
Hi, this is Sherry Aschenbrenner, Vice President of Dementia Friendly Elgin Area. Everyone knows somebody living with dementia. Caregivers and friends of those with dementia are always welcome at our Elgin Area Memory Cafe, always the second Tuesday of every month at 4 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. at the South Elgin Public Works Building, 1000 Bowes Road in South Elgin. Also, Dementia Friendly Elgin Area gives free 20-minute dementia awareness trainings to local businesses, church groups, to bunco groups. Just invite us. If you'd like to get put on Sherry's senior email blast list, please email us at dfelist@gmail.com. Also, you can go and visit our website at dementiafriendlyelginarea.org.
Tune in to Sherry's Senior Moments radio show on the second Thursday of each month at 9:05 a.m. until 10 a.m. on WRMN AM 1410, WRMN Radio app, or WRMN Radio on YouTube. That's Sherry's Senior Moments, providing resources and information for our seniors in the community. Here on WRMN AM 1410, we like to keep you informed and in tune to what's happening here in the Fox River Valley, and what's going on here on WRMN. We recognize the importance of local radio to be a part of the conversation and to be a part of the community for the community.
You know, we talked about the importance of community theater, but supporting community radio is a big deal too. And, you know, for WRMN, this is a really cool thing that you guys do every day, and a really important thing. You have to have a local media outlet to talk about what's going on in your town. So you guys do a nice job.
Tune in to AM 1410, WRMN. Don't forget, you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/WRMN Radio. Keep in tune and informed on what's happening here in the Fox River Valley, right here on WRMN.
Your kids could get free or low-cost health coverage from Medicaid or CHIP. Even if you've applied before, they may be eligible now. Kids up to age 19 are covered for checkups, vaccines, dentist visits, hospital care, and more. And if they already have Medicaid or CHIP, remember to renew every year. Visit insurekidsnow.gov or call 877-KIDS-NOW. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Hi, I'm Jeff Walter, and I'm running for Congress in the 11th Congressional District. As the mayor of Elgin, I'm really required to deliver certain common things that are all based around common sense. I have to provide good water, good streets, police protection, and a lot of other core services. Congress has lost its way on that. So if you want some common sense brought back to Washington, vote Jeff Walter for Congress. You can check us out at www.jeffwalterforcongress.com. I'm Jeff Walter, and I approve this ad, paid for by Walter for Congress.
Kick off your weekend with a little flair. It's Dino's Night Out, every Friday from 2 to 4 p.m. on WRMN 1410 AM. Dino brings you the best of the Fox Valley's entertainment scene. Live music, local artists, street festivals, great eats, and the personalities behind them. If it's happening, Dino's talking about it. And bringing the spotlight is none other than the legendary Arcada Theater, located at 105 East Main Street in St. Charles. Catch dinner, drinks, and a show, all under one historic roof. So whether you're making plans or just love to know what's hot, make it a date with Dino's Night Out, Fridays, 2 to 4 p.m. on WRMN 1410 AM, or stream it live at WRMN1410.com. Dino's Night Out, powered by the Arcada Theater, where Fox Valley comes to play.
Fix bayonets, comrades. And before I go on, I'm going to put in my plug for the Dunkin' Donuts veterans. Any veteran out there listening knows that at 7039 on Dempster and Niles, every Tuesday, 9 o'clock, they start, but you get there at 8 o'clock. The Dunkin' Donuts veterans, it's very informal, but it has a lot of good information. Any veteran can show up. Anyone that has anything to say about veterans, you have to talk to Carlos or Roger if you want to speak up there. But, you know, if you have something decent to say, by all means, they'll have it. And it's just great being with these guys and, you know, meeting one World War II veteran there, a couple Korean War veterans still showing up. These guys are in their 90s and stuff. But we put out good information. You buy some coffee at Donut, show up. And then I got to put out my plug for my friends over at the Blue Box Cafe, where I get my coffee every morning, have a sandwich, and we're still not on the and I put a plug here for YouTube Live. And I think after those plugs, all right. So if I was a teenage girl in the 8th grade, or maybe a freshman or something, and I got the platform off YouTube, it would be the end of the world, you know, because my brain hasn't totally matured and things have happened. And it's great because for me, it's like a sign from above. I'm like, oh, you know, like I said, they wanted me to appeal it. I'm like, no, you win. You got me off there. There's a lot of social media sites out there. Yes, there are some that are very popular, but I guarantee you the ones that are very popular are probably 70% fake. Fake accounts. So they're very popular because they're all fake accounts. The ones that aren't so popular are usually a little bit more focused on their on the subjects that they're on, right? But they're going to be less fake because people aren't there. So if one social media thing has you upset, find another one. Find another one. You know, I say that to the veterans out there. If at one time you went to a veterans organization and you didn't like the way they were run and the way they treated you, find another one because it's worth it. You find the right group of people, right? And I'm not saying an echo chamber, right? I think Facebook, Instagram, even Twitter or X, whatever they call it now, have all become like echo chambers. You know, if you do not post to the right sites and post the right opinion, your algorithms go down, you don't get posted. So people start posting that just to be seen, and it becomes an echo chamber, which they want because they want you to only repeat what they say. They want you to be a trained parrot. Some of the, like this one out there, it's called Gab, all right? And it's private. This guy they deplatformed his whole system, so he had to build his own servers. So now they can't deplatform because he owns his own servers, but that kind of gets expensive. But they have it listed as alt tech. That's an alternate tech site. I guess that's like, oh, it's not really social media, it's alt tech. But find another one. You don't like, hey, if you don't like one coffee shop, are you going to give up coffee? Well, if you don't like one restaurant, are you going to give up going to all the restaurants?
No, you look for another one.
You look for one you like. There's a lot of them out there. That's Correct. What I think you should do. But they have. Remember, they go after AT&T and they go after the power companies, right, for being monopolistic, right, and the railroads, monopolies. They don't like monopolies. Monopolies quash innovation. They quash innovation. All right, to put in a plug for former President Obama, all right? And everyone laughs at the Obama phones, right? He gave out all these Obama phones. People say, oh, what's the purpose in that and everything? He's just giving it away. Well, in a way, he forced the hands of the telephone companies, of the cell phone companies, all these cell towers, because he flooded them now. He flooded them. And they had to upgrade everything to keep up with the amount of information. Because if they didn't do it, you'd be talking to grandma, right, who's lost at sea on a raft, and, you know, this is her last seconds where you get her where she's at. You know, yeah, that was very nice. Where she's at, right? And you get cut off because they drop your call for someone else's call, right? So it forced us to have the most powerful, robust cell phone network in the world. Right? Powerful, robust, you know, I could run everything off my phone, internet, everything. It's like that. But had that not been forced, right? Had it been left to us, they would never upgrade. They would never upgrade. It would cost money. Oh, it's going to cost money. I won't be able to buy that 15th townhome wherever in you know. So he forced their hand, right? He forced their hand to do it, right? So, all right, did I lose my train of thought? Yeah, it derailed.
Upgrading the network.
Yeah, upgrading that network. Well, Facebook is, you know, they have a little upgrades and everything, but they don't have to upgrade anything because there's no competition, right? They want to keep it that way. They want to be the monopoly. Even though there's all these competitors out there, if they keep it like they're the number one and that's where you want to be popular, we have all these other, you know, influencers out there, right? Then they don't have to innovate for competition, right? They keep everything status quo. So you can do two things. You can innovate and get more stuff, or you can quash your competition. And they're into the competition quashing. It's innovation. It's stagnated, right? Stuff stagnates. Who's responsible for that? Who's responsible for that? The owners, right? And the people that use it, right? They give it's American white bread, right? They feed you the white bread. They feed you Wonder Bread. Not that it's a bad bread, right? But they feed you stuff, and you expect that's what you like, right? That's you never had anything better or whatever because it's never been available in the store. If you make it unavailable in the store, right? You can't buy it. No. If you have to go somewhere else or whatever, people don't like being inconvenienced. So they're not checking out these other websites, the other social media sites. They're not checking it out, right? They're not taking a risk. Maybe they only have it on their phone. There's another thing, right? Now here's where they get in cahoots. So I've got the magic iPhone, right? Magic, right? Absolutely magic, like induced with black art magic there, right? And if you want to put an app on that thing, you got to go to the Apple store. Well, if they don't like your social media site, guess what you don't get? They don't put an app in the Apple store. They deny you access to that store. They say, we're not going to sell your stuff. We're not going to it's no longer free market. We're going to tell you whether you're worthy to be on this, whether you're worthy. It could be perfectly coded. It could work wonderful with Apple. You could have a bunch of, I like having my magic thing there. I'm not going to say it's the best or the worst, right? The things they do with it, I got to accept. I mean, it's spying on you all the time. It always knows where you're at. It's like evil. It's so evil. I'm possessed by a demon. This is the closest thing. I'm going to tell you, the closest thing to being possessed by a demon is a smartphone. You agree, Paul?
Oh, yeah. It's a difference.
Other than being possessed by a real demon, this is the next best thing in line. Not that I condone being possessed by a demon or anything. I mean, then and then the social media comes on the same thing. I mean, it's insane. It's insane. I got to fight it. I'll sit there and scroll. I'm like, oh, what a time waster. I wish I wouldn't do this. Oh, well, look at that meme.
I had a friend who died a few years back, but we used to drive together. And he said, you're a real antiquated. I said, yeah, well. He said, one day, a whole law library is going to be on a disc. And you know what? He almost had it right. But now there's more on a cell phone than there is on all the encyclopedias out there.
Yeah, but guess what, right? Guess what? People are dumb. They're stupid. There is book knowledge, and a lot of people in school, they consider them really smart. They have book knowledge. They have good memories for parenting back stuff. Here's another joke, so people are, so it's a joke, right? I says, I used to have a photogenic memory, but then it ran out of film.
Good one.
But people have photographic memories, and they can see that stuff, but can they apply it? Book smart and application. So you have everything here, The trouble is you have everything here. Some stuff's harder to find. Right? This isn't the truth, right? When you Google something, and understand this, when you Google something or you do a search engine on it, even if you do multiple search engines, right? And you take and you put all those things together, you are only getting the most popular opinion. It may be the truth, but it's not necessarily the truth. There's no guarantee that's the truth. It's only the most popular opinion. That's AI. It's only the most popular opinion. When you AI Google something, it goes through to Google and says, well, 51% say this, so it must be true. And then it tells you, but at the bottom in fine lettering, 2-point font, it goes, but 49% say the opposite. It's like, that's like, people say, oh, this is absolutely, the public wants it because 51% say it's okay. And well, 49% say it's not. Who's right? Are we doing this based on IQs? And even people with very high IQs, right? A lot of them can't change a tire. They could tell you how to do it. They could look at it and they give you that and you go, okay, well, find the right place to put that scissors jack. Don't crush yourself. Oh, wait, you didn't put the chocks on the tire, so it's rolling away now. There's being able to apply stuff. There's critical thinking, right? There's information. But don't always think that the information that you get off the magic possessed demon phone, right? With all the knowledge in the universe, all the known knowledge all the written knowledge in the universe. A great field of study, a great class to take if you want to get it. Knowledge management. And all these server farms are going to have a problem with it, right? All the knowledge out there, how do you manage it? Librarians, right? Where do you put this? Where do you put that? Everything else. And how do you find it quickly? How do you access it quickly without doing billions of searches and everything? That's why Google save searches, right? They save searches to come up, and then they run it against other searches because it's faster to go to a previous search that's already been searched than it is to research everything, even though more data has been entered in. I'm confusing myself. There's a lot, you need to do your own knowledge management, right? You need to preserve your knowledge, like you said, YouTube. Upload those things, that's preserving knowledge. That's preserving something you did, right? I uploaded my novels to Amazon. They're always up there. Best advice you gave me, Paul, Library of Congress. All of my novels are in the Library of Congress. They all have Library of Congress numbers. And when I sent them there, they scanned those things in. They make ebooks out of them. So like when the world is taken over by space aliens and everything, and then the human beings, a small group of human beings survive and they wipe out the space aliens, right? And they go to the Library of Congress and they find the digital and they bring it up. My books are still there. Knowledge management. These radio shows loaded up onto YouTube, right? I take out the commercials and everything, loaded them up to YouTube. Will future generations care? Maybe, maybe not. Will my family care? Probably not. Some friends have seen me and they're like, wow, what's the social media in the same thing, cautionary tale, right? Social media is forever. It's all forever. You delete it out, someone saved it. You put something controversial, someone took a screenshot of that. Even if they can't download the actual code and everything, they took a screenshot and they saved it. And if you become a famous person, this random person down there is going to sell that to me, to the news, and going to go, look what I got. Oh yeah, he wiped out all of his accounts, but I got the screenshot of it from 2005 when he still believed that the earth was flat. No, I never believed the earth was flat. My map is flat. I still believe the earth is kind of round. If it was flat, I wouldn't trip as much.
That's true.
So any closing statements, Paul? Got a few minutes left on the show.
Well, again, we brought it up last week. We're on the 190th anniversary of the Alamo. So it goes to March the 6th. So we'd like to say, remember the Alamo. We'd like to thank Dennis and Brendan and Jeff for their kind support and comments. And Dennis is saying, relating to knowledge management, he understands the idea. And that I'd like to say that we support the military, and we hope everybody involved in this is going to come out safe, and it's going to be a short campaign. And we're beginning in March, and tax time is coming soon.
Yeah, tax time. There's another scary thing. How many people do you think are employed in the tax, other than not IRS, just in the tax industry, like accountants? Yeah,
a lot.
And how many of those people would be out of work if you instituted a flat tax?
A lot.
Yeah, a lot of people. I think it'd be. How many people would be out of work if we?
And other people mentioned this too. We talked about the ruling last week, but until about really the 1920s or 30s, there was really no appreciable income tax. So all the money came in from tariffs and excises and things like that. So when you think about that, what an industry was created in the last 100 years with tax professional.
Yeah, the income tax came in 1913.
1913.
Yeah, and you think that all right. So you're in the Army in basic training. You're brand new to the Army, right? You're brand new to the Army, and some mouth breathing, tobacco chewing, just not that bright guy is teaching you one skill. And he's been doing this one skill set for 20 years in the Army. Nothing but this one skill set, 20 years in the Army. And you get a 1 hour class on the skill set that he's been doing for 20 years. Let's say shooting, you get a 1 hour class, right? And then they kind of give you a quick test on it, and you mess up a little thing, right? Not too serious, but they're telling you how stupid you are for messing that up, and anyone could do that. You've been doing it 20 years, Well, here's the thing with the tax things, right? They know this stuff all off the bat. They go through school for it and everything. And it's in their best interest to keep things complicated, because it scares people, But then they come out with the TurboTax stuff that walks you through it. And even that's complicated, because they want to make it look complicated because they won't want you to do it on your own, right? They don't want you, they want to make it look complicated, like you need their program to simplify it. You can't do it without the program. Thank God that, being a warrant officer in the Army and everything, and the Army taught me, how to read directions. And I was doing my taxes, not using TurboTax or anything, because I don't have to itemize or whatever. And it would say, refer to this rule, right? They'd have a rule there, and then they'd say, well, you got to refer to this rule in this other form or whatever, and then you got to look that up, and I'd have 5 pages open on the internet, referring to different forms, and then it finally makes sense, right? And I go, boop, and I figured it out. I'm like, why should it be that complicated for the average guy that doesn't even itemize? I was, claiming a dependent. That was it. Just, what do you call it? People keeping their cottage industries up, It's like when you, what was the act that they're trying to push through on cars, right? So this is something everyone, Elon Musk, what a great guy. Oh, we got a caller in? Yep. Who we got on line?
Cleveland Dennis.
Hey, Dennis.
You touched the nerve when you start talking about the IRS and creating the industry and all that.
Yeah.
I've been struggling with that since 1991 when I started my corporation, and all the kind of BS, lack of a better word, that you have to go through. It's totally ridiculous. I like what Trumpito said about getting maybe rid of it. It's just like a dream, though.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, there's so many people involved in it, and they're not poor people. Right. These people don't make minimum wage.
Hey, I make a fair buck, but I pay my accountant every month.
Yeah.
I know he's a multi-millionaire. You know, he was just starting when I started my company, and I got assigned to him through some rigmarole. But it's all worked out good. I owe him big money every year because he files my taxes. I can't do that stuff. I have a complicated job in what I do, and I'm not going to be learning that. They go to school. They have to take classes every year for all the updates that are created. It's like reading the Federal Register. You know, get me out of there. But anyhow, I'm enjoying the show. Wanted to make my comment, and it seems every week
I got my producer over here ordering 4 beers like a machinist.
Yeah, time is
like a machinist.
Okay, guys. Until next week. Adios, amigos. Hey, remember the Alamo.
Remember the Alamo.
Remember the Alamo. Yeah. East Crockett Street.
All right. So hopefully next week we'll be talking about how that was just a blip on the map, when it comes to U.S. foreign policy.
Have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend. Bye.
Welcome to downtown Elgin, where businesses, community, and creativity come together. The Downtown Neighborhood Association provides valuable, complimentary services to all downtown businesses, organizations, property owners, and residents, helping you gain exposure and thrive. Whether you're already part of the district or exploring a new downtown location, DNA is here to help your vision grow. Join us in creating a vibrant, connected, and successful downtown Elgin. Call now 847-488-1456, or you can email info@downtownelgin.com. Ask for Jennifer Facala. Downtown Neighborhood Association, where the heart of business beats strong.
Your hometown radio station since 1949. We are WRMN AM 1410, Elgin time, 2 o'clock.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Mary Rose. The United States and Israel have launched military strikes against Iran.
The United States military began major combat operations in Iran.
President Trump announced the military action after weeks of a U.S. military buildup in the region and the failure of recent nuclear talks. In a video statement, he called on the Iranian people to seize control of their country from the Islamic regime.
When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take. This will be probably your only chance for generations.
The president also warned of possible American casualties during the combat operations. Greg Clugston, Washington.
University of St. Andrews Strategic Studies professor Phillips O'Brien says the answer to a key question should come soon after the military operation ends.
Have they been able to devastate the regime to a degree that the regime's rule is threatened and the leadership has, say, been decapitated? That is something we should know in a few days, whether they've gotten that part of the operation under control or not. If, within a week they have not gotten rid of the regime is still there, the military is still loyal, and the Iranian people have not risen up, then I think we can say they had not done their preparation.
Public policy expert Matthew Continetti believes President Trump's State of the Union address was a success.
I think he reset the political conversation. He wove these stories of patriotism into the speech in such a kind of dramatic and captivating way. The Democrats didn't know what to do. And then in that very important moment when he asked Congress to stand up if they believed that the government's primary responsibility was protecting American citizens, not illegal aliens, the Democrats sat down.
Continetti made his comments to the Salem Radio Network. More on these stories at townhall.com.
We have reached the age where things just cost more.
Cars, phones, life insurance.
Your blood pressure is up.
Your weight is up.
You're one to talk.
I have type 2 diabetes, so I'm getting dinged just like you.
Thank goodness for Big Lou.
Big Lou!
Big Lou can get term life insurance rates for a 50-year-old male with type 2 diabetes or high blood pressure, or maybe he's on anxiety meds for just around $200